Court ladies spend their time crafting elaborate schemes to frame each other for adultery, witchcraft, or treason. The men aren't any better. They're busy forging documents, bribing servants, and spreading rumors about each other's loyalty. Everyone is spying on everyone else for multiple masters. The king has spies watching the courtiers have spies watching each other, foreign ambassadors have spies watching the English court, the church has spies watching for heretics, your own servants are probably spying on you for someone who's promised them a better job if they find dirt on their current employer. The queen is often the most dangerous person in the room. Take Anne Boleyn. She wasn't just Henry's wife, she was a master manipulator who destroyed anyone who threatened her position. Until Henry got bored with her, had her framed for adultery with multiple men, including her own brother, and had her head cut off. Then he married Jane Seymour, who died in childbirth. Then Anne of Cleves, who survived by being so diplomatically boring that Henry couldn't find an excuse to kill her. Court entertainments are elaborate psychological torture sessions disguised as fun. Masquerade balls where everyone wears masks but tries to figure out who's plotting against them. Poetry readings where every verse contains hidden political messages. Dancing where the wrong partner choice could be interpreted as a treasonous alliance. The physical palace is designed for paranoia. Hidden passages, secret rooms, and listening holes in the walls. Your private chambers aren't private. There are spy holes and hidden entrances that allow others to monitor your every move. Even your prayers aren't safe because the wrong religious expression could be reported as heresy. Gifts are weapons. That beautiful jeweled necklace from your rival? Probably cursed, definitely a political statement, and possibly actually poisoned. Accepting it shows weakness. Refusing it shows disrespect. Everything is a trap designed to compromise your position or gather information about your loyalties. The most successful courtiers are the ones who master the art of being completely forgettable while quietly accumulating power. The flashy ones, the outspoken ones, the ones who try to be too clever, they all end up dead. Survival at court requires becoming a ghost who can influence events while remaining invisible to the king's paranoid attention. In Tudor court, friendship is impossible. Love is dangerous, and honesty is suicide. Your best day is when nothing happens to you. Your worst day is when you finally get noticed. Your parents sell you like cattle. Forget everything you think you know about romance. In Tudor England, marriage is a business transaction where you're the product being sold. Love is for peasants who have nothing to lose, while smart people marry for land, livestock, and political alliances. Your feelings about your future spouse matter about as much as a cow's opinion on which farmer buys it. Your parents start shopping you around as soon as you hit puberty. Girls are considered ready for marriage at 12, boys at 14. Not ready for the emotional complexity of marriage, just ready to produce heirs and seal property deals. Your market value depends on your family's wealth, your potential inheritance, and how many political connections your marriage might create. The negotiation process is brutal and dehumanizing. Families exchange detailed inventories of what each side brings to the deal. Dowries, land holdings, future inheritance prospects, and even your physical health records. Your teeth get examined like a horse being sold at market. Your ability to bear children is discussed openly by people who've never met you. Your virginity is literally part of your economic value. Once a deal is struck, you might meet your future spouse for the first time at your own wedding. Sometimes you're lucky and get a brief meeting beforehand to confirm you're not hideously deformed or obviously insane, but more often, your first conversation with your life partner happens while you're exchanging vows you have no choice but to say. The wedding ceremony itself is designed to transfer ownership of you from your father to your husband. You don't promise to love, honor, and cherish. You promise to obey. Your husband promises to control you properly and use you to produce legitimate heirs. The whole thing is essentially a public contract signing where everyone watches your family sell you. But the real humiliation comes after the ceremony with the bedding ritual. This charming tradition involves the wedding guests literally escorting you and your new spouse to the bedroom, pulling off your clothes, and putting you both in bed together while making crude jokes about your upcoming sexual performance. Then they stand around waiting to hear evidence that the marriage has been consummated. Privacy is not a concept that applies to your wedding night. Divorce doesn't exist. Once you're married, you're stuck for life, no matter how miserable, abusive, or dangerous your spouse turns out to be. Your only escape options are death, annulment if you can prove the marriage was invalid from the start, or fleeing to another country and assuming a new identity. The church considers marriage a sacred bond that can't be broken by mere human unhappiness. If your husband dies, you don't get freedom. You get passed along to his male relatives like inherited property. Your children belong to his family, not yours. Any property you brought to the marriage stays with his family. You might get a small allowance to live on, but you're essentially a pensioner dependent on people who have no reason to care about your well-being. Remarriage is possible, but tricky. Too eager to remarry, and you're obviously a lustful woman who didn't properly mourn your dead husband. Too reluctant, and you're being difficult about accepting your proper role. The timing has to be perfect, and the choice of your second husband has to be approved by your dead husband's family and your own family and local authorities. Women who try to control their own marriage choices are labeled as witches, whores, or mentally unstable. Men who marry for love instead of strategic advantage are considered weak and unsuitable for leadership. The entire system is designed to prevent personal choice and individual happiness in favor of family power and property consolidation. Your wedding day isn't the beginning of your new life. It's the end of any life that belongs to you. From that moment forward, you exist to serve family interests that were decided by people who view you as a useful asset rather than a human being with your own dreams and desires. Religious roulette. Here's a fun game. Guess which religion will get you killed this week. In Tudor England, your eternal salvation depends entirely on whichever monarch happens to be alive and what mood they're in. The wrong prayer at the wrong time doesn't just damn your soul. It gets you roasted alive in the town square. Henry VIII starts Catholic, breaks with Rome to divorce his wife, creates the Church of England with himself as head, then spends the rest of his reign flip-flopping between Catholic and Protestant policies, depending on his political needs. Keeping track of the current official doctrine requires a degree in royal psychology and a gambling addiction. When Henry dies, his son Edward VI goes full Protestant. Catholic Mass is banned, Latin services are forbidden, and anyone caught with Catholic paraphernalia gets arrested for treason. Priests who refuse to abandon celibacy and marry get executed. The entire religious establishment gets turned upside down in the name of a 9-year-old king's advisor's political ambitions. Then Edward dies and his sister Mary takes over. Plot twist. She's Catholic. Suddenly, being Protestant is treason punishable by death. She earns the nickname Bloody Mary by burning about 280 Protestants alive over 5 years. These aren't quick deaths. The wood is often green and damp, so victims cook slowly while conscious. The lucky ones die from smoke inhalation before the flames reach them. Your neighbors become religious police, reporting anyone who doesn't seem enthusiastic enough about the current official faith. Missed church last Sunday? Suspicious. Been seen reading the wrong version of the Bible? Definitely suspicious. Failed to cross yourself at the right moment? You're obviously a heretic who needs to be investigated by people with torture equipment. The religious authorities use theological debates as excuses for personal vendettas. Don't like your neighbor? Accuse them of heresy. Want their property? Report them for practicing witchcraft? Having a business dispute? Suggest they're secret Catholics or crypto-Protestants, depending on which way the political wind is blowing. Witchcraft accusations are the nuclear option for destroying someone's life. Being accused of witchcraft means you're guilty until proven innocent, and proving innocence is impossible. The evidence against you includes having a cat, knowing herbal remedies, being old and ugly, being young and attractive, having unexplained wealth, being suspiciously poor, or just existing while female in a way that makes someone uncomfortable. The witch trials use brilliant logic. If you float when thrown in water, you're a witch and get burned. If you sink and drown, you were innocent and go to heaven. It's a win-win situation, assuming you think drowning is winning. They also use pressing, stacking heavy stones on your chest until you confess or die. Most people die without confessing, which proves they were witches because witches are too stubborn to confess. Religious education consists of memorizing the current official prayers and hoping they don't change before you get tested on them. Children grow up not knowing what they actually believe because believing anything too strongly might get them killed when the next monarch switches religions. Faith becomes a survival strategy rather than a spiritual practice. The clergy are just as terrified as everyone else. Priests who adapt too quickly to religious changes are suspect because they're obviously opportunists. Priests who resist changes are suspect because they're obviously disloyal. The safest strategy is to be as boring and forgettable as possible, while quietly practicing whatever religion you think might be fashionable next year. Even private worship is dangerous. Your prayers could be overheard and misinterpreted. Your Bible could be the wrong translation. Your religious decorations could be evidence of the wrong faith. The safest approach to religion is to have no visible beliefs whatsoever, and hope that doesn't get interpreted as atheism, which is also punishable by death. Your spiritual life becomes a constant game of Russian roulette, where the bullets are made of fire and the trigger is pulled by whoever happens to be wearing the crown. Prayer stops being about salvation and starts being about surviving until tomorrow's religious policy changes. Military service. Congratulations! You've been recruited into the Royal Army. By recruited, we mean grabbed off the street by armed men who don't care if you have a family, a job, or any desire whatsoever to die in some foreign field for a king who doesn't know your name. Military service isn't voluntary. It's kidnapping with government approval. Your military training consists of being handed a rusty weapon you've never seen before and told to follow the man in front of you until someone kills him, then follow the next guy. No boot camp, no weapons training, no strategy lessons. Just point the sharp end at the enemy and try not to die immediately. Most soldiers learn to fight by watching other soldiers die badly. Your equipment is whatever the army can steal, buy cheaply, or salvage from previous dead soldiers. That armor protecting your vital organs, it's full of holes from the arrows that killed its previous owner. Your sword might be sharp, or it might be a rust-covered decoration that will snap in half the first time you hit something solid. Your boots probably don't fit and definitely leak. The food situation makes your toxic breakfast at home look like a feast. Army rations consist of hardtack so stale it could be used as building material, salted meat that's more salt than meat, and water from whatever puddle or stream the army happens to be camped near. Dysentery kills more soldiers than enemy weapons, which is saying something because enemy weapons kill a lot of soldiers. Medical care on the battlefield is performed by the same barber surgeons who were killing people back home, except now they're working under combat conditions with even less sanitation. Got an arrow in your leg? They'll hack it off with a dirty saw and hope the bleeding stops before you die. Infection is guaranteed. Survival is optional. Your commanding officers are nobles who bought their positions and have no military experience beyond reading books about ancient Roman tactics. Their battle strategy usually involves charging directly at the enemy because it worked for their great-grandfather's great-grandfather, and subtlety is for peasants. They're also safely positioned far from the actual fighting, while you get to discover whether their brilliant plan works. The enemy you're fighting, they're exactly like you. Terrified, untrained peasants who were forced into military service and have no idea why they're supposed to kill you. Most battles are just two groups of scared, hungry people with rusty weapons trying to murder each other because their respective kings have a property dispute or hurt feelings. If you somehow survive a battle, you don't get to go home. The army moves on to the next pointless conflict, and you get to discover new and exciting ways to almost die. Frostbite, plague, starvation, enemy raids on your camp, accidents with your own weapons, infections from minor wounds. Military life is an endless series of creative death scenarios. Your pay is theoretical. The king promises to compensate you for your service, but actually paying soldiers is expensive and cuts into the royal budget for palaces and mistresses. Most soldiers never see a penny of their promised wages. If you complain about not being paid, you get executed for mutiny. Even if you survive your military service and make it home, you're permanently damaged goods. No job skills except violence, no support for war injuries, no pension, and a head full of traumatic memories that nobody understands or cares about. Veterans often turn to banditry because it's the only career that uses their military training. The best case scenario for military service is desertion. Run away before the fighting starts, hide in the wilderness until the war ends, then sneak back home and pretend you died heroically. Of course, if you get caught deserting, you'll be executed publicly as an example to other potential deserters. Your military service isn't about defending your homeland or fighting for noble causes. It's about dying painfully so that rich people can steal land from other rich people. The only honor in Tudor warfare is surviving long enough to escape it. So there you have it, a typical day in Tudor England where every single thing you did, ate, drank, or thought was actively trying to kill you. From your toxic breakfast to your terror-filled bedtime, survival wasn't about being smart or strong. It was about being impossibly lucky every single day for your entire short, miserable life. The next time you complain about your commute, remember that Tudor people considered it a miracle when they made it through the night without dying. Your worst Monday morning would have been a fantastically good day for someone in 1547. Your clean water, safe food, modern medicine, and basic human rights would have seemed like pure magic to people who lived their entire lives one bad decision away from public execution. If you're fascinated by how people used intelligence, presence, and ruthless logic to dominate in history's most dangerous eras, you'll love the survival guide I've written using actual historical tactics. These psychological strategies worked in life or death situations, which means they're devastatingly effective in today's much safer world. Check the link below. You'll need these skills even today.